Nintendo has released many Amiibo figures over the years. However, what if they released even more? These are my ideas for Amiibo that have not been made. Ever since the series' inception on Wii U, Splatoon has been one of the forerunners of the Amiibo trend. Every game and every DLC has seen Amiibo releases. At the time of recording this, we just got the announcement of Splatoon 3 variants for Callie, Marie, Pearl, and Marina. However, I feel the Splatoon series still has a lot of untapped Amiibo potential. There are some weapon classes that have never even gotten a figure. You could argue that the Brella is finally getting a figure because Marie is holding an umbrella in the alternate variant. That's debatable since she's not exactly using it as a weapon. But let's just say that that's been covered for sake of argument. The Splatoon Amiibo I would still like to see are one with the Splatana, one with the Blaster, one with the Slosher, and one with the Splatling. Not to mention, with the announcement of Side Order Amiibo for Pearl and Marina, I'm a little disappointed that they didn't take the opportunity to give us the new variant of Agent 8 as well as the Pearl drone. My favorite Amiibo in all the Amiibo lines is the Pikmin Amiibo from Hey Pikmin. I just like seeing the 5 of them all curled up around this one set piece, the amount of variety it brings, and how there's really something to see from all angles. That said, there are other Pikmin types beyond the 5 that are featured in Pikmin 3 and Hey Pikmin. In fact, as of now, we've had Pikmin 4, which gives us one very big idea for a new Amiibo: Ochi. And of course, Ochi carries the Pikmin, so it's a great opportunity to work in the other Pikmin types that were left out on the initial release. We have not had an Amiibo featuring Purple Pikmin, White Pikmin, Ice Pikmin, or Glow Pikmin. In fact, if you want to take it another step further, you could have someone riding Ochi. Either the player captain from the game, Alf from Pikmin 3, Louie, who's appeared in many of the games. In fact, that's another variant you could do right there. You could have Olimar or Louie riding Moss as a second Amiibo dog. In fact, there's a lot of potential for Amiibo dogs, so let's just keep the train rolling. One dog that took the world by storm but never saw an Amiibo release was Sami from Fire Emblem Engage. Fire Emblem has been here and there with Amiibo releases. Some games have had full-on figurines like Fire Emblem Echoes, and others were just kind of thrown in as part of a side game like Fire Emblem Warriors. But I do feel that Sami would be one of the cutest Amiibos you could come up with. In fact, you could have it in a 2-pack with Alear, or a 3-pack with Alear if you want to cover both variants of that character. I'm sure the Sami Amiibo could have some sort of functionality in Engage to go along with the bond fragments that Sami exudes. And one more dog while we're at it. Luigi's Mansion has not gotten the Amiibo treatment, and I feel that that is a disservice to such a high-selling game with vibrant animations. I think we deserve to see Luigi on an Amiibo with the Poltergust. And not only that, let's bring in the cute little doggo from Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3, the Polterpup. He could have this neat sort of transparent effect, or they could bring back the glow-in-the-dark effect like they had on the Boo Amiibo, which really needs a reprint, Nintendo, but that's neither here nor there. And speaking of Mario Amiibo that need a reprint, I had a couple ideas there as well. You may vaguely remember that around the time of the Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga remake on 3DS, we got the Goomba Amiibo and the Koopa Troopa Amiibo. There is so much untapped potential in basic enemy designs. The only other Amiibo I can think of in that vein is the Bokoblin from the Zelda Breath of the Wild set. But Mario has very iconic enemies, so let's not stop at Goomba, Koopa Troopa, and Boo. Let's get Shy Guy in there. Let's get Nabbit in there. Nabbit has been a welcome addition to many of the games for a more casual audience. You know, someone who wants to play the game without having to worry about all the enemies and such, it's a good option to include, and he's become a bit of an icon as a result. Now, while we're on the subject of enemies, let's shift over to the Kirby series. Kirby had a nice, decent set of amiibo featuring Kirby, King Dedede, Meta Knight, and Waddle Dee. And that's a pretty good start, and you might even say, oh, that's enough. But there's one character who they've really been giving the spotlight to a lot lately, and that's Magolor. Magolor made appearances in Star Allies, he had his own mode in Return to Dreamland Deluxe, and, I mean, without spoiling too much, it kind of connects all his other appearances together. I mean, he's been in a bunch of the side games. I mean, heck, they built him a freaking amusement park. So, I think it would have been neat to have a little figurine of the guy. There's another type of amiibo that we haven't gotten too many of, and those are the 8-bit recreations in 3D. We saw this for The Legend of Zelda Link and Mario for the 30th anniversary. There's one more character that I think would make a really good 8-bit amiibo who doesn't really have too much representation elsewhere, and that's the classic Donkey Kong from the arcade and NES game. In fact, as of the most recent Nintendo Direct, we're getting Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, where the 8-bit Donkey Kong also makes a cameo appearance in one of the levels. I can't really think of a good functionality for this one, but I do think that, aesthetically speaking, it would really help complete the 8-bit line. Alright, tell me what's missing from the following lineup of Xenoblade Chronicles Amiibo. We've got Shulk, we've got Pyra and Mythra from the DLC in Smash Bros., and we got Noah and Mio from Xenoblade Chronicles 3. If you said, we're missing the protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when we have the protagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 3, you would be correct. Now, I know that arguably Pyra and Mythra are the protagonists of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Trust me, I've played the game. But they wouldn't be there without their driver, and that's Rex. Rex even shows up alongside them briefly in their Super Smash Bros. Ultimate appearance. What would really complete the amiibo, I feel, is if we get Rex in his classic Salvager suit, and in the back helmet you get Gramps. You know, since he lives in there in the game anyway, and you can walk around, so as a nice little bonus, you get this cute little Titan Gramps alongside your Rex amiibo, and then you can display all the main protagonists of the game side by side. Unless, of course, you're going to argue that all 6 characters in Xenoblade 3 are protagonists, and that's a fair argument to make, but that's a lot more amiibo than just giving Rex. In relatively recent history, we got a new 2D Mario game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And there's a lot of new additions in the game because they decided to move us out of the Mushroom Kingdom and into the Flower Kingdom. And I feel that opens up the floodgates for amiibo potential as well. Back during Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, we got the release of Cat Mario and Cat Peach amiibo. So if they want to keep in line with power-ups, we could have gotten an Elephant Mario amiibo. And I think that would have been a nice chunky amiibo to have on a display shelf that would have looked pretty nice. There's also the new character of Prince Florian, the talking flowers that appear everywhere, or one of my favorite ideas would be the pipe from the Wonder Flower effect, the one that goes all snake-like. If they want to make that bendable in some way, kind of like the Guardian legs, that would be a nice little bonus, but I don't know that you'd have to take it that far. There is one series that has a plethora of characters, and I am amazed that this one never got any sort of amiibo treatment whatsoever, outside of the main character's Smash amiibo, of course. And that would be WarioWare. Yeah, we have the base Wario amiibo from Super Smash Bros., but none of the characters other than him appear in Smash Bros., so they haven't gotten a chance. You have classics such as Ashley, Mona, Jimmy T, 9V, and there's so many more, especially since Get It Together came out. But here's the bonkers idea. WarioWare is all about, well, sometimes it's all about the weird little peripherals that Nintendo uses. If you played WarioWare Move It, you'll know that there are some games that use the IR camera in the right Joy-Con as an example. I think it would be a wild idea if we had like a free download title for WarioWare where if you own the WarioWare Amiibo set, you could play micro games that somehow involved using your Amiibo. I don't know how much micro game potential tapping an Amiibo to the controller really has, and so I think that's why it would be like a free download bonus kind of deal, but if any team could figure out how to make that work in some sort of frantic, fun way, it would be the same team behind WarioWare. And so we've reached my final idea, and this one is the most out there in terms of all the ideas I've had for Amiibo that don't exist. This one is actually inspired not by a Nintendo game really, but by Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. You might know where I'm going with this now. There are some costumes in Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, and among them are retro Sega consoles that you can play as a Sega Saturn inside of Monkey Ball Mania. And that brings to mind the image of, hey Nintendo, what if you made Amiibo of your retro consoles? What if we had an NES Amiibo, an SNES Amiibo, an N64 Amiibo, etc.? But wait, there's more to this bonkers idea. Let's talk functionality for a second. I know that not all Amiibo need some grand functionality. A lot of them can just be resorted to, oh, scan this Amiibo in the game once a day to obtain blah 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 random consumable items. I know the Warriors games like to do that approach. And that's fair, and it makes it more accessible where like any Amiibo will work, just pick one and scan it. But outside of those, I think these could actually serve a really interesting purpose. On Nintendo Switch, we have the NSO Retro Library, so what if scanning your NES Amiibo would instantly open the NES NSO app? Just as a fun little shortcut. I know most people would say it's going to take longer to break out the figure and tap it to the thing. No one would actually want to do that, but I mean, you could argue the same thing about weapon loadouts in Splatoon 3. So, there you go. Just as a fun little bonus thing. Maybe not the most practical idea in the world, but maybe if someone does want to keep all their retro console Amiibo out on display, then they could take advantage of them in the shortcut. Maybe they haven't booted up the NSL library in a while, and instead of sorting through their list of hundreds of Switch games, they're like, let me just tap the Amiibo thing. It'll be faster. And then I can actually justify my purchase of the thing. But even without that, I'm sure there are people who would love to just have these little miniature replica consoles on display, even without any functionality in the slightest. But if you want a function, that's my idea for you. Of course, then you wouldn't really get a GameCube Amiibo unless there is a GameCube library someday, and same with the Wii and Wii U, but all bridges that they can figure out if they want to adopt this absolutely crazy idea of mine. Thanks for watching, and let me know what Amiibo figures you think should exist down in the comments. Bye.